Welcome to the Kangaroo English Podcast, a podcast about language for people who love languages and learning. I am your host, Christian, and today I am joined by my co-host, Matt. How are you today, Matt?
I'm good, Christian. Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here, Christian, to start this new podcast series. This is going to be fun.
Yes, this is episode 1 of Word Roots, where we are going to follow the journey or the route of a group of words through time. And we also look at the origin or the root of those words to help everyone remember and be able to use the vocabulary in this episode. Me and Matt are going to be sharing lots of stories about today's words, how they relate to other words, and especially how they are used in context in modern English. Today, we are going to be taking a word root from the word mouse to the word chef. What is your initial reaction when you hear those two words?
The first thing I think about when I hear a mouse and a chef is a mouse inside of a kitchen. Or what's that animated film in France with the mouse and the chef?
Ratatouille.
Yeah, there we go. That's what I think about, to be honest. As far as the words go, what were the words? Mouse and chef.
And chef.
Yeah, I have no idea how these are connected linguistically.
Well, I think that nobody would would be able to see how they're connected linguistically. They're obviously not connected directly. We have to go through a little bit of a word route to get there, but it's a direct route and an interesting route where we will discover lots of interesting stories about these words. So let's start with the word mouse, right? You have been living in Italy for a long time. You speak Italian.
Right.
So what is the word for a mouse in Italian?
It doesn't sound similar at all. The word is topo.
Okay.
Topolino is a little mouse. Yeah. You live in Spain, so what's it in Spanish?
In Spanish, a mouse is a raton.
Oh,
right.
Because they have a ratto, I think, also in Italian, but it's different, isn't it? A rat and a mouse.
Well, that was actually my next question for you, right?
Okay.
Because do you feel like in Italian that there's a difference between a mouse and a rat?
I feel like there's a difference, yes. When I think of a mouse, a topo, I think of a little one, right? I think of a little white one, maybe a little gray one, but they're small and they squeak and they have a little tail. And when I think of a rat, I think of a big rat from the subway in New York who's like 5 kilos and has big whiskers and right.
And he's like running away with a slice of pizza or something, right?
Right. Or remember, Christian, we were doing a course in Vietnam a little bit ago, and we saw some rats in the street getting some trash. Remember that?
That's right. It was very entertaining. We could have watched them for hours, I think.
Yeah, so that was a rat. It wasn't a mouse, I think.
Right. So the Italian philosopher or Italian, academic Umberto Eco, he wrote a book called Mouse or Rat. And it was a book about translation because in his native language, which is Italian, he said that the difference between a mouse and a rat is not so clear in the Italian language. And that to translate this word and to understand the word, you need context. And especially you need cultural context, right? I don't know about you, Matt, but I feel like a mouse is kind of maybe something nice and cute, but a rat is like horrible.
That's right. When I hear about a rat, I think of something horrible, like I said, from the sewer, if everyone knows that word. When you flush your toilet, the water goes underground into some tubes, and that's the sewer system. I think of rats living in the sewer, and I think of mice, a mouse being somehow cute, maybe running around a house, which isn't nice, but they're still kind of cute.
Yeah, and also like a rat in English is the name of a person who is an informer to the police, right? As well. So a lot of negative associations. It's true that Italian, does have the word ratto, as you said before, but topo can be used to describe what in English we would be a mouse and a rat, like two different things. But English is not the only language that has this distinction. And this one is hilarious to me. Do you know what they called a mouse and a rat in Latin?
No idea. Latonius?
Okay. Um, so a mouse was called a mus minimus, and a rat was called a mus maximus.
Oh, nice. Of course, when we hear Maximus in English, we always think of the gladiator. So, when I hear you say that, I think of
Exactly.
a mouse in armor with a sword and a helmet or something in the Colosseum. So it's a little mouse and a big mouse.
Exactly. But there are many languages in the world that actually do not have separate words. Malaysian, Japanese, or other languages that don't have separate words for mouse and rat. So this kind of brings me to the next word, okay? And I think it's important to remember, for the audience, that all words are built on metaphors, right? All words are built on metaphors from life experiences and even from previous words. So my question, Matt, is there any part of your body that you think looks like a mouse?
That depends where I am, Christian, and how cold the water is, I guess. No. That looks like a mouse. Your fingers? Maybe your ears? When I think of a mouse, can't we say someone has a mousy kind of? I always connect the word cute to mouse, right? And I think in English, I could even describe someone who's kind of cute as mousy.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's a nice compliment, but kind of cute, right?
Yeah. Cute and maybe quiet as well, maybe,
Right,
like
right. Yeah, so maybe something to do with your, I'm not sure if you mean physically here or what, but no, I don't know, Christian.
I mean something a very specific part of your body. So let me tell you what it is, okay? And
Can you show me what it is? I can't do that on a podcast, but I like to see it.
well, all I can say is that the Greeks and the Romans they had really good imaginations because when they looked at their muscles, they thought that they looked like little mice under their skin.
Oh, okay. I guess that makes sense if you think of a mouse who's under a blanket or a cloak or something, and it's kind of just laying there. It's kind of like a bump underneath the material, I guess. Yeah.
Yes. And like if maybe if you look down, especially at your arm, and you kind of flex your arm, it kind of looks like a mouse, moving under your skin, right?
Mhm,
And
mhm.
so that's where we get the word muscle from, because people thought it looked like a mouse under your skin.
Oh, wow. So there's a connection between mouse and muscle.
Yes, exactly, exactly, direct connection.
Christian, what is that? Because I'm getting older. So if I put my arm out and there's skin that hangs underneath the bottom side of my arm, what kind of animal is that?
That Matt, that would be in that's a great question. In British English, they're called bingo wings.
Really?
Okay. Yeah, because like old women and yes, this is a very sexist word, right? But like old women who go to play bingo, when they hold up their arm and they say bingo, then that flaps underneath like a wing, so they call them bingo wings.
Wow. Okay. Well, everyone, as you can see, this is very spontaneous. So I'm learning something new. I had no idea that those were called bingo wings.
What would you call them, Matt? Is there a word in the United States?
I can't really think of a specific word for that. I think we would say you have flabby arms. Flabby is a adjective. Flabby, it's like you have flabby skin, Flabby, and the opposite of tight skin. It's skin that's just kind of flying in the wind somehow. So yeah, flabby arms.
That's probably a great way to remember it, right? Is like a bird has, wings that flap, right? Like flappy wings. So there's kind of a connection between bingo wings and flabby flabby arms.
Maybe bat wings, kind of like a bat. Maybe I've heard that as well.
Oh, bat wings. Yes, true.
But bingo wings or bat wings or flabby arms have nothing to do with muscles in mice. So let's get back to the muscles. So, so the ancient Greeks and Romans, they called those.
They called them mussels. And then there was a particular food as well that they took from the ocean that they thought also looked like a kind of mouse.
I'm thinking about a mussel as something from the sea, but it doesn't look like a mouse to me.
No, it doesn't, does it? It doesn't. But like I said, they had great imaginations, right? So yeah, the mussels that you can eat, the seafood, is also named from the idea that it kind of looks like a kind of mouse moving, like a mussel moving, right?
You know what's strange about the word muscle, as in muscles in your arms, and the muscle, as in seafood, is that they're spelled differently, right? And that's pretty confusing.
Yes.
It's a good example how English spelling and pronunciation can be a bit crazy, which I'm sure we'll talk about a lot in our conversations. But yeah, they're spelled differently, but they have the same pronunciation.
That's exactly right. So the animal mouse is Mouse, and the seafood is Mussel, completely different, but identical sound, right? So let's move from muscle to our next word, okay? And I want you to look down at your arm and tell me, what is the first muscle that you see?
Christian, I'm an English teacher, so there aren't that many muscles on my arms, except my index finger pointing at people or something. No, yeah, I guess my bicep.
Well, I'm so glad that you said that, because that is in fact our next word. But
Christian, I said that because I don't know the name of any other muscles in my arms. What are the other muscles? What are the other muscles called? Your bicep is what you have.
I have no idea.
You're a really muscular guy. You gotta, I'm sure you know this.
Well, Matt, like you, I suffer from sitting at a desk my entire life. So yes, my index finger is my strongest muscle, same as you. So Matt, you might be surprised to learn that technically you have been saying that word wrong your entire life. Do you have any idea why?
No idea, because it comes from a Latin word, and they may say bi becomes b. I don't know, but I've always heard bicep. That's what I know.
Right. So look, this is one of those things where the technical origin of the word and the technical explanation of the word does not actually reflect the reality of how people use it every day. Okay. And you say bicep, I say bicep, millions, hundreds of millions of people around the world, they all say bicep. But in fact, a bicep doesn't exist. Okay. Because let me explain, because the origin of this word is bi, like you said, it's two.
It's two. Okay.
Okay. And the second part, sep, means head. Because if you go into Google and you look at an image of a bicep, you'll see that it connects to the body in two separate places. It has two heads.
Okay.
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 So the name of the muscle is technically always a plural. It should always be biceps.
Ah, okay. So, but we lost the S. So when I'm looking at my biceps, on the right and left, let's say, that's right. But I should also say, well, do you get two biceps becomes bicepsy? Bicepses? Yeah, but your biceps is, that makes sense. Okay.
Actually, I think it's one of the situations where if you used the technically correct version, if you said, look at my biceps, people would think that you don't know how to speak English properly, even though you're technically correct, right?
Right, because that S on the end, we think it means it's plural, and you're pointing at one muscle, so, um, it's just confusing, it doesn't sound right to our English software in our heads, there's something wrong there.
Exactly. And that's just part of the coincidence that, that English plurals end in S, right? So this is a great example of one of these, and maybe this is a new expression for some people. It's a pet peeve. Matt, can you kind of explain what a pet peeve is?
So a pet peeve is something that really annoys you. Um, Maybe it only annoys you and not other people. So specifically for you, it drives you crazy. So an example is my pet peeve is I can't stand it. There's another expression. I can't, it makes me crazy when somebody is smoking, for example. And my pet peeve is I can't stand smoking. But a pet peeve could also be something really, really, really insignificant, really small. Like I hate the way people sound when they're eating soup. It makes me sick. It makes me want to vomit, to throw up or something. And so my pet peeve is, people slurping their soup, for example.
Right, right, exactly. Well, for some people, this word, bicep versus biceps is a pet peeve for them. And I wanted to give another couple of examples of pet peeve words that many people have. And for you living in Italy, this is especially perfect. It's the word espresso.
Oh, yeah, right. That X, what's up with the X, right? Because in Italian, it's an espresso, it's an S, not an X.
Right.
So in English, do we say espresso or we say espresso? I think a lot of English speakers put an X sound there.
Yes, and the reason for this is normally okay. These kind of words, they have a special name. They're called egg corns, and the reason normally is because if you think about it, it's actually logical. It's logical that I would call it an espresso because expressing is like when you take the essence of something, right? When you kind of purify or distill something, which is kind of what you're doing with the coffee, right? When you make an espresso.
I guess. um, I thought you were going to say something about it's express, as in it's fast, as in you're making it
Right.
quickly somehow. But maybe because I've lived in Italy, everyone, for more than 10 years. My wife's Italian, so sometimes these Italian words. I speak Italian with her normally at home.
Mm.
Our house is bilingual and so on. But yeah, sometimes it's hard for me, Christian, to remember how I said that as a child growing up in California. Okay.
Right.
And I can't really remember. And I run into situations where I'm not sure if I should say cappuccino or cappuccino if I'm ordering a coffee at Starbucks, and I have to change it depending where I'm at.
Right.
Um,
Yes. In fact, the idea of the name of this episode, right? Okay, is word roots, and word roots. Okay, they're two words that sound the same to me for my accent,
mhm.
right? But it's possible that in some other accents, those two words are pronounced differently, right?
Right. Because if I'm talking about a route, as in, how do I get from this city to the other city? And I put it into Google Maps and it gives me the route, ROUTE, route. But a lot of North American speakers might say the route. Okay. So some people say the route, some people say the route. And I don't think that's exactly a regional thing. I think that it's kind of a personal preference. Both pronunciations are okay. And, I say route and you say route, and we don't really have a problem because the context is making it clear, anyways.
Yeah, and I'm sure that sometimes it just changes depending on the other sounds around it. Like one for me would be data and data.
Oh, yeah.
I switch between them, like I don't know why, but I just use both. pronunciation?
See, that's one you're talking about pet peeves before. And I think sometimes between English speakers from different regions of the world, like you're from Australia, I'm from California. Let's say we have a Scottish friend here, an English one. Sometimes we have our pet peeves with pronunciation. And, I always say data. I don't say data very often. Another one is a niche. Do you say niche, Christian, or do you say niche?
I say niche, yes. Niche sounds very weird to me. It sounds like now that is a pet peeve for me. Someone says niche, I'm like, no, no.
Right. Sometimes when we hear it from I say niche as well, but I remember one Christian that you have said, and it annoyed me. It's so maybe it's a pet peeve. I didn't like it, and that was the word aluminum. I say aluminum foil,
You mean aluminium?
aluminium. Wow. I mean, where did you learn that from? Interesting. Um, right. So even as native English speakers, we have these little differences sometimes, and
Yeah.
sometimes they are really regional, or sometimes they annoy others. But sometimes, like route and root, I think that everyone just accepts that both are there. And I've never run into someone who, you know, wanted to fight about that word.
No.
Right? It just seems like it's accepted that both are okay.
Right. I think there are a lot of people who are very upset about aluminum versus aluminium. I think that does upset a lot of people around the world.
It's as an English learner, it's a good reminder, as you guys already know, that the way we write in English is not exactly how we pronounce. We don't pronounce every letter as it's written, and mostly it's memorized. I mean, they're trends, but a lot of it's memorized. And yeah, that's why there's not really a winner of those battles.
Well, it's also a reminder that you and me, we both have the same philosophy about language, which is that there's no such thing as correct English in a lot of cases, right? There's so much variation. Okay, we are in the classroom with our students. We accept so much variation in grammar and pronunciation, but there are still, it's still very difficult with sometimes with little things. It can still be annoying, right?
Right, right. It's something like my brain tells me it's all both are good. It's all okay because that's correct. Logically, I know it, but there's something in my heart or my soul that says aluminium, however you said it. It just annoys me, right? And so my
Yes.
brain is telling me, of course, it's okay. There are probably hundreds of millions of speakers in the world who say it that way, but my heart is telling me that it's wrong. And that's just our own shortcoming. That's just human nature. That's just being human. With language, sometimes we get feelings with it. But anyways, yeah, your biceps, and then
Okay, yeah. So we're at biceps, right? Matt, a quick little test for you now. Do you remember like the literal meaning of biceps again? It was two something.
two heads. You said two heads. You said.
Well done, well done. Good memory. Two heads, exactly. So that means that the second part of the word, okay, the seps part means head, okay? And I'm wondering if you can think about something that grows in the ground. Okay, it's a word that starts with C. It's something that grows in the ground that we eat, and it kind of looks like a head.
Okay. Is it a vegetable? So a cabbage?
Well done! Oh my God, nailed it! Beautiful.
Right, but I think that's why I said cabbage. Because don't we say you have a head of cabbage when you have one round like ball of cabbage? So we said it's like a head of cabbage, which is kind of strange, but it does kind of look like a head, I suppose.
It
That makes
does.
sense.
It's exactly right, and it's another example of how how language is always built from old metaphors or old words. Like you look at something round and you go, oh, it looks like a head. Okay, it's a head of cabbage.
But is that where the word cabbage comes from? So does the word cabbage, it's connected to just head?
That's exactly right. So the biceps, okay, the seps part is the same root as cabbage. Okay, so cabbage. So technically, a head of cabbage, we're saying a head of a head. Okay. Okay. So I have a question. cabbages are not the only things that we compare to parts of our body. Okay. So bananas, Matt. What, what,
Thought you were going to say a cucumber there, or
no.
a aubergine or something, a carrot.
Now, what part of your body would you compare bananas to?
Well, of course, I compare my bananas to my fingers, my hands. You have banana hands in English. Have you ever heard that, Christian? Because I used to have a good friend. He was really big, this guy. If we were joking with him, we might say, what's up, banana hands?
Because they were so big, his hands.
Is it because you have big fingers, or because monkeys like bananas and so you're like a monkey with big gorilla hands or something? I'm not sure why.
Well, I mean that makes sense that you would call someone banana hands if they have huge, like if their fingers are like bananas. But that's technically like if you go to a market and you buy the bananas that are all still attached to the root. You can call them a hand of bananas.
Right.
So let me just ask you one more question. So this is another food that's related to body parts. What would you call a corn?
A corn. So you have like corn on the cob, we might say in the US, and that long cylinder thing where you get corn from is a head of corn.
Nice. Have you ever heard anybody call it an ear of corn?
I think so. Is it head of corn or ear of corn? I'm not sure right now. I thought it was a head of corn, but maybe I'm wrong.
No. It can be also called an ear or head of corn.
Okay. I mean, I have big ears, Christian, as you know, kind of like big flappy ears, like Dumbo or something. And I guess it's kind of like when you see a head of corn on, in the field, it kind of is sticking. It kind of is, moving in the wind. So maybe it does kind of look like an ear.
Yeah, I think maybe because it's kind of folded a little bit as well. It's kind of folded, looks a little bit like an ear.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, I think that it requires a lot of imagination.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a little question for you, okay? Because I live in Spain and I speak Spanish, and the Spanish, they love to eat garlic. They put garlic in everything. And when the Spanish, when they looked at garlic, the little pieces of garlic, they thought that it looked like something in the human body. Can you guess what that is?
So I guess let's think of garlic. They're little, round kind of square pieces. They're like teeth, I guess. Teeth. If I punched someone in the face and their teeth fell out, you get a lot of teeth there.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. So in Spanish, they're called teeth of garlic because they look like kind of white brown teeth. They kind of look like my teeth, actually. Actually, right.
What do we call those in English? I actually don't know. You have a head of garlic, right? Isn't one thing of garlic a head of garlic?
I think it is called a head of garlic. I think it is. And the individual things are cloves, right?
Cloves, right.
Okay, so we are now going to move from one head of cabbage to a word that I think also you're going to know this word, Matt, because it's a word that English took from German, okay? And it's a word for when everything goes bad, okay? Or something dies, and it starts with ka.
When something dies, you mean it's broken, like kaput?
Exactly. That's exactly the word. Well done. Well done. Kaput.
Right. Well, I think we use that in English as well, kaput. I've heard that used in North America before.
Yeah.
This engine is kaput.
Yep, absolutely. But it's a word that we stole from German. And it's related to cabbage because kaput was, the word for head. Okay. And what happens if you cut the head off something? It dies, right? It dies. And that's why, if your car dies, your car is kaput.
So you're saying that in German, kaput was like head cut off? Let me think, okay, for everyone listening, I'm from California. I live in Italy, but I also lived in Germany for almost 7 years. So I know a little bit of German, not a lot, but a little bit. And head is Kopf. Yeah, Kopf, Kopf. Yeah, I guess there's a connection to kaput.
Well, the connection is a little bit more strange than you might expect, okay? The connection is probably actually from a card game. And when you're playing cards, if you are if you're winning the game and you're doing really well, it's almost like it's like the other player can't really see very well. It's like their vision is not good. They can't see how to win the game. And there was a phrase during a really popular card game. And if you're winning the game or you win the game, you say that I have put a hood over you. And so I'd say like, you are kaput. I've put a hood over you. And so like, you're done. You're finished. I win the game.
Right, like you can't see.
Exactly. So this word kaput is related to other things that cover our head. Like, for example, a baseball cap, right?
Cap, yes.
Um,
I'm sorry, Christian. You know, when you mentioned this thing with putting a hood over you, do you know this? Now, maybe it's a quite informal word in English, to be hoodwinked. Have you ever heard that?
right. Yes, I have. Yes.
I guess that just jumps into my head. I guess that's similar because if you're hoodwinked, that means you're deceived, you're tricked. Somebody misled you in some way. It's like they put a hood over your eyes and you don't know where you're going, I guess. So maybe that's similar.
Exactly right. That is exactly right. It's exactly the same idea. But yeah, it came down to us from a card game instead of more like literal.
Uh-huh.
And this is probably a good moment to talk about another difference, which I'm sure is a pet peeve for you between my English and your English. What what would you call the thing that covers the engine at the front of your car?
Oh, yes, right. In the US, that's the hood of your car. The hood.
Do you know what I would call that?
That's what is it? It's not the boot, it's the bonnet. The bonnet, right?
That's right, the bonnet.
Uh-huh.
Does that sound funny to you? A bonnet?
It sounds very British to me, very British English to me. The bonnet in the boot, where in North America we say the hood in the trunk.
Right.
It does make sense. As we're noticing, there's so much metaphor in language. And a hood, you put it over your head. I like to explain this to students. Think of Robin Hood.
Yes.
He often has a green hood over his head. Okay? And then you have a hoodie now, a sweater from your football team or so. So you have your hood.
Yes.
And if you think of a car as kind of a person, metaphorically, the front of the car has a hood on the top of it.
Yes.
And a bonnet isn't a bonnet like an old fashioned hood type hat for a woman from 1800 with it's hard to explain, Christian. It's like a little thing that you put on your head and you tie it with ribbons under your chin.
Yes, exactly right. Yes.
Grandma from a fairy tale might have a bonnet on her head, or someone in the Wild West.
Right. Oh, like a Jane Austen kind of, Jane Austen, like Sense and Sensibility, they might wear bonnets, right?
Yes, right. So it's kind of like a hood. A hood sounds more masculine, or like Robin Hood, and a bonnet sounds more feminine somehow. Right.
So what you're saying is that the British cars are all kind of a little bit feminine, right?
A little bit feminine, a
With
little bit smaller, more elegant, and the US ones are like big, fat, strong men. Yeah, I don't know. And it's the same for the back of the car, isn't it? So, I mean, the trunk, do you know why we say trunk, Christian? Do you know that one?
No, I don't. No.
I think the reason is because think if you had a wagon from the Wild West. On the very back of the wagon, think of horses in the front, there's the guy driving, and on the very back, you had a kind of a little platform, and you would put a trunk like a chest, like a pirate chest, like a box there. And that box that you could put there, like a suitcase, right, a really big one, that thing could be called a trunk. Okay.
Right.
And it was at the
yes,
back.
okay.
I think that's the reason. Maybe that's made up and maybe that's false. And in the UK, it's the boot of the car, right? So it's like the feet of the car. I don't know. Is that why you say that?
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't really matter. I think it doesn't matter, especially if you're learning English. It doesn't really matter if the story that you're that you hear is true or not.
Mhm.
The only important thing is, like, does it help you to remember the vocabulary,
True,
right?
right. So in the UK, you need to think of an old grandma who's just laying flat like Superman, and she has a bonnet, a little hat on the front, and her boots are in the back. Then you have the bonnet and the boot.
It's exactly right. It's exactly right.
And if you can burn a stupid little image like that in your brain, a lot of the times you'll remember it. And sometimes knowing the origin or the story, right, Christian, really can help you remember something.
Yes, we are storytelling creatures, and we have been for a million years. And our brains are designed to remember things through story. Matt, we are about to arrive at our final word. So let me just quickly do a little revision of the words. Okay, so we went from mouse to muscle, and then we went from the muscles to biceps. From there, we went from the biceps to the cabbage, and from the head of the cabbage, we went kaput. Now that brings us to chef. So, how does head bring us to chef, Matt?
Um, the only thing I can think is that the chef is the boss in the kitchen, so he's the head of the kitchen.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And I know that you have a lot of interest in, like, Native American cultures. There's another English word that is really similar to chef, which means like the boss of a Native American tribe.
A chief is the head of the tribe.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So there's another word which means the head of a military group of, like, soldiers, which is another word related to this, which is a ka word, like kaput. Can you think what that might be?
Well, a chief could be someone in the military too, right? As a rank. What do you mean, a colonel?
Yeah, no, not a colonel. So, it could also be used as someone who's the head of a boat, for example.
Oh, yes, the captain. The captain.
Right. Very nice. Very nice. So, like, all of those words, like kaput, captain, cabbage, maybe you can see some of this, the connections between this idea that something is the head, like the most important,
Mhm.
like the boss.
You know what, Christian? Let me mention something. Maybe this is new for you. When I lived in Germany, I was working in some international companies based in Germany, and inside the company, the colleagues, the Germans, they often use the word chef to say boss, basically. Okay, so they would call their boss, speaking in German, they would say, "This is my chef."
Interesting.
Okay, and they meant boss. And they thought, or maybe they think, that chef could be used in English like that to mean boss. Or it came from French and then they use it in German. So it was a loan word from French into German. And that created a lot of funny miscommunication sometimes because you'd have a visiting businessman from, yeah, from New Zealand. And then the German colleague be like, and this is my chef, Jan, Hans or something, or my chef.
Oh my God, you have a personal chef?
Yeah, my chef is really mean. He's always asked me to do stuff. It's like, well, okay, well, my butler is really mean too. Sorry, chef.
That's hilarious. It's like he doesn't look like he knows how to cook. What the hell?
Yeah, they change our chef all the time in this company. I mean, so like that's a confusing. What could we call that? Is that a false friend? Is that just a confusing word that has a different meaning? But definitely, if you're a German speaker out there, be really careful. The chef is in the kitchen cooking, and your boss, your chief, the CEO, the chief executive officer, not the chef executive officer. The chief is the boss.
Right, exactly. It's another great example of how part of being a good communicator is being able to adapt your language, right, to your audience. So that brings us to the end of our word root from mouse to chef. I hope now you can see how clear that that root was, right? So obvious. we are going to end these word root episodes with a little game called True or False. Matt, I'm going to ask you a language question, and I want you to tell me whether you think it's true or false.
Just to be clear, everyone, I have no idea what Christian is going to ask me. So I feel a bit on the spot. That's an expression where they put a spotlight on you, right, in a game show, and you're just sitting there, kind of nervous. Let's see what we got, Christian.
So this true or false is about the Mexican American War. Do you know anything about the Mexican American War?
A little bit, but that's just because I grew up in California. So, yeah, some of the basics.
Okay. So let me tell you the story. So this is the story. The story is that during the Mexican American War, American soldiers wore green uniforms. And when the Mexicans saw them, they yelled, "Green, go home." And that is where we get the word gringo. So, for people who don't know, a gringo is like a kind of, well, it can be offensive, I guess, but it's a kind of, let's say, an informal word for like a foreigner.
Right, right. So if you're a US American walking around Mexico and the people didn't like you for many reasons, maybe at the moment, they might call you a gringo. Sometimes they may say it, just in jest. So just joking around, right?
Right. Like friendly kind of.
And most of the time, when I hear the word gringo, I think of U.S. Americans in Mexico. I'm not sure. Mexicans out there, you could help us. You can write in and let us know. I'm not sure if gringo is used for somebody from, Germany or from China, right? Is it just for U.S. Americans, or is it for anyone who has white colored skin, or is it for any foreigner? I'm not sure.
Well, if this story is true, then you would expect that it would, be mostly for Americans, right? Because it's like green, go home. So, what do you think, Matt? Do you think this story is true or false?
I don't know, but it sounds false to me because I just can't imagine the Mexican soldiers yelling in English, "Green, green, go home." Like, why would they say it in English first off? Wouldn't they say it in Spanish? And to actually be screaming that out loud, "Green, go home" seems a bit long as well. So I'm going to guess that it's false.
Well, Matt, I can tell you that your language instincts are 100% correct. It is absolutely false. And the real origin of this word actually is the same idiom that we use in English and probably a lot of other languages. When we don't understand what people are saying in English, we say, "That's all Greek to me." And in Spanish, the word for Greek is griego, which is where the word gringo comes from. It's basically, the idea is that if you have a foreign person in your country, you're like, they're speaking Greek.
Now I'm really curious if gringo is just for, people from the US or if it's for anyone. And what if the guy's actually Greek?
Well, actually, I have a question, Matt. In Italian, do you say, if you don't understand something, do you say it's Greek?
No, Christian, I don't think I've ever heard anyone say Greek. I think they say it's Arabic.
Oh, right.
I bet you around the world that makes sense. You would just use another language, probably a language that's nearby as well, that you had some connection with in history or a neighbor or something, and you just changed the language.
Yes. So in here in Spain, they say that it's Chinese,
Okay.
right? They say, "Yeah, I can't understand, it's Chinese."
Uh-huh.
But I have a list here of the translations in other languages, and some of them I think are quite funny. So, for example, in Arabic, they say he's speaking Hindi.
Okay. Okay.
In Bulgarian, they say you're speaking Patagonian.
Patagonian. Okay, that seems like it's far away.
In Chinese, and again, I want to say that obviously I don't speak these languages. I don't know if how true these are. Okay, so if this is not correct, as Matt said, please write us an email and tell us. In Cantonese, they say it's chicken intestines.
Okay. This is my favorite one so far.
If it's Mandarin, they say it's like a book from heaven.
Like a book from heaven. Wow, because you can't understand it?
It's cool, right? It's cool. And finally, and again, I don't know if this is true, but Matt, you lived in Germany. Is it true that you can say "Ich verstehe nur Bahnhof"? I only understand railway station.
Yeah, yes. Ich verstehe nur Bahnhof, which is kind of funny because think if you're learning a language, you're at the very, 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 very early beginner. You're playing with Duolingo and you learn 20 words. I guess there's a chance that one of those words might be airport or train station.
Oh, I see.
Right?
Oh, right.
Yes. It's kind of funny though that they actually conjugate I understand. Everything else is perfect in the sentence, but yes.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Word Roots. If you want a transcript of this episode plus a list of the key vocabulary we discussed today, you can find it on the website at kangarooenglish.com. If you have any questions or comments about today's episode, please send us an email at podcast@kangarooenglish.com. If you enjoyed this episode and you want to support this podcast, please leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Matt, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you had a good time.
Yeah, thanks, Christian. Thanks, everyone. And as Christian said, if you learn just one new word while listening to this, you've done something for your English today. So good job with that.
Yes, exactly. Well done, everybody. Thank you, and I'll see you in class.